Play. Okay, and as a housekeeper, like I just said, attendees, you do not have a video on, you're automatically muted, so it's just listening in, but you can chat in the webinar chat. There's also a Q&A box, but it's kind of the same thing. Either way, I'll be monitoring both, and throughout the presentation, if you have questions, feel free to ask, and I'll try and flag Justin down so we can get those questions answered. And as a reminder that the webinar, live webinar is open to all mamas and business members. However, the recording is only shared with paid business member or mamas and business members. So just keep that in mind going forward. But really, I mean, we've had Justin here the last time with Canva 101, which went really well. I'm so excited for AI. So I'm just going to hand it off, Justin. Feel free to take it away.
Perfect. All right. I'm sure some of you guys were here for the last one. I'm Justin with Blackbird Digital. I'm the owner here and creative director. My background is pretty heavily in design and marketing. So I've been doing a lot of design and a lot of different programs for a long time. And Canva has slowly become something that even I, as somebody with 2 design degrees, has worked into my own workflow. So this is a really powerful and still pretty simplistic tool that I definitely encourage you guys all to use whenever possible. So yeah, this presentation specifically is going to be focused on the AI tools that Canva has built in. And I just want to kind of preface this with saying there are, I mean, quite literally hundreds, I would say dozens confidently, but probably hundreds of different AI tools that people have built because Canva does allow third-party apps. So I'm going to go through a handful of the ones that are my favorites, the ones that I think are going to help you guys the most throughout really doing anything. And we're going to focus on static images right now. So I'm going to kind of jump right into it. I have a document here that I've already kind of prepped for you guys. And we're just going to kind of start first off with knowing that this is based on a template. So this is something that you guys can pretty easily grab. I've kind of deleted some elements and rearranged some stuff so that way I have something to work towards while we're building this out using AI. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of jump right into it. First things first, this I want to make a flyer for a coffee shop grand opening, and this was kind of just random. Obviously, none of this information is real, so we're just kind of going off of the playing pretend here. So I have this general layout here. We have grand opening at the coffee house is the name of the business. The date and everything is here. We have a block of text here that we're going to use to describe more of what this event is. We have our times. We have a nice little badge here that we can repurpose. And while I already have this designed in my head, I'm going to kind of move forward. So the first things first, I want to show you guys how to use the color change tool. And this is something that I know I showed a little bit during the last presentation. So forgive me if this is a little bit of reiteration, but I wanted to showcase this because it is using AI and it's been available for quite a while with Canva. I would say at least a couple years now. So for those of you that don't know, you can build what's called a brand kit in Canva. I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek here. I have some for a lot of the clients that I work with here. You can outline all of the colors, you can outline all of the fonts, you can upload images, and it's all kind of stored in that. I highly suggest that if you're on a paid plan, that you go ahead and make one for your own business. It's kind of nice. You can use them for other specific projects if you want. Obviously, since we're an agency, we work with a lot of different businesses, so it's extra useful for us, but it's pretty sweet. So I have gone ahead and made a sample one here. I've even picked a nice little color scheme that I like. It's not letting me select it because it's already selected. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out here, and we're here on the side. So first things first is how do we use AI to recolor this flyer? This is really impressive. So right over here, we have our color palette. You can pick as many colors as you want to be a part of your palette. I would suggest at least 5. I imagine a lot of you guys probably have specific colors that you've already used and will continue to use throughout your brand. So go ahead and add those in. You can use the hex codes and everything so you can make sure they're exact. But with this case, so I have this nice green and tan and red. It looks nice, but as you can see, it's not quite the color scheme of this brand. So by using this color palette shuffle tool here, you can just kind of click this and it will recolor the entire thing as many times as you want. So you can kind of work through until you find what you really like. Sometimes it does a better job than others, but one thing I want to point out here is how using AI, it's able to even pick out these secondary colors like this dark yellow that is not a part of my brand. but it knows based on the original design that it was using a slightly darker green to create those stripes in the background. So this is actually pretty much exactly what I was hoping for. We have a nice little teal background using the main teal as part of the brand. The fonts and stuff here are all kind of white, which is something we'll work on here in a bit. But yeah, that's a good first tool for AI. And the reason I wanted to point that out is because this is something that as soon as you pick a template in Canva, this is like one of the first things you should do because it kind of helps you decide where you want to go with the design as a whole, because you're going to do a lot of customization with this stuff, and Canva makes it really easy to do so. So yeah, so that's first. Does anyone have any questions about the color change tool? It's really simple. I kind of want to start with that. All right. So the next one I wanted to show up, this is kind of where the rubber hits the road, the exciting AI stuff that people think about. For those of you that have messed with AI or even like read the news and stuff, you've probably heard about DALL-E and Midjourney are the two biggest. These are image generation. And one thing that's really cool about Canva is that it actually uses OpenAI, which is the company that makes DALL-E, and ChatGPT is the other one that people hear about a lot. So it's all integrated in here. And within these apps, there's a lot of cool stuff that we can do. So one of my favorite ones here is called Magic Media. Now, pretend you didn't see any of that. But Magic Media is a really cool tool that you can type in pretty much exactly what you want. So like for this image, I really want to have a cup of coffee right down here. I want to use the coffee beans as a bit of a texture around it. So what I'm going to do is actually put in coffee shop. Actually, I'm going to say top-down view of a latte at a coffee shop surrounded by coffee beans. And that's quite literally all you have to do. There's a lot you can go into here with more detail in these styles. You can do watercolor, you can do photorealism. To be honest with you, I tend to have I have better luck just kind of using those as keywords. Like if I wanted to make this an illustration, I would put illustration in my prompt here. This does work relatively well. And there are a bunch of different styles. If you click see all here, there's tons that you can use, even down to like stained glass, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on no style because I just want this to be photorealistic. I'm going to go ahead and say generate again. Pretend like you didn't see that stuff up there. We're going to generate something similar, but I'm going to start from scratch so you guys can see the whole process. And obviously it takes a little bit to load in here, but it is pretty cool what can happen. It's going to slowly pop in.
So quick question, Justin.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to use one of those other platforms, which one would you recommend?
They're all better at different things. The one that I use the most is Midjourney. But I will admit Midjourney is one of the more complicated ones to use because you have to actually download Discord. If you guys know what that is, the app kind of like Slack. It's for communication, really big in gaming and stuff. Then there's what's called a bot that's part of Discord. And you can kind of just talk directly to it as if it was a person, and it'll generate stuff for you. DALL-E, on the other hand, is a lot easier to use. And I think it does a lot better with photorealistic stuff. It's pretty cool. So you can you can go to ChatGPT's website, and it's actually integrated right there in ChatGPT now. But if you go to openai.com, you can see how to activate DALL-E, and you actually get a handful of free generations without having to pay. But I will say ChatGPT is something like $9.99 a month for priority queue, and you get to use as much as you want, and you get the newest version of it, which is really neat. I don't think people quite realize how big like ChatGPT 4.0 is the newest one is over ChatGPT 3.5, which is the one that everyone's using for free. They're doing a really good job iterating on this stuff to the point that it's a little bit scary. But they're really, really good at what they do. And I highly recommend using ChatGPT for a lot of things. And there's a little bit of a tangent, but I mean, even down to like creating presentations, we build sitemaps a lot for websites that we build using ChatGPT. It's pretty phenomenal, and it's all right in the name OpenAI. It's all open source, so you can use that to build your own tools if you're a nerdy developer like our lead dev Brian, who has actually built a couple tools for us to use in-house. It's pretty cool stuff. But like I said, this actually is. They don't label it as that, but this actually is DALL-E. which is pretty sweet. So it does a great job, as you can see. And actually, I really love this photo right here. You can generate again if you're not happy with any of these four. It'll always generate four at a time. And then there are some settings under here. So like if you really love this photo and you want more specifically like that, which if you're doing a little less detailed of a prompt, these four will be quite a bit different than what we're getting right here. But I knew exactly what I wanted, so I told it exactly what I wanted. You can also use it to generate video, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't, it's not quite there yet as far as like creating like full length videos or commercials or anything like that, but it is nice to do like little, say you want a panning shot of a city or something like that. You can do pretty cool stuff using OpenAI and the tools built into Canva. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this one that I like here. You just click on it, adds it to your document. It's that easy. Now one thing, I want it to be right over here, right? And I want the coffee cup to be kind of off the side of the page. Obviously we have this table in the background, which isn't quite what we want. And I would like these beans to kind of cover the whole document, right? So now we're going to use a really cool tool that I like, where I'm going to go into edit photo. And I'm going to this tool, Magic Expand. You can use this with regular photos. I actually just used it the other day because I was building an ad for 32 Below frozen yogurt here in town, and she had these gorgeous photos taken of her of like the froyo in a cup with toppings on it. It was really nice, but the ad that I was building was like a horizontal wide one, and the photos that she had were portrait vertical. So I actually used a tool kind of like this Magic Expand to take that vertical image and add a bunch to the side of it that was all just more background that I could use to lay text and stuff over. It's really, really cool. And honestly, this is the kind of stuff that I think AI is going to be most useful for moving forward. You know, there's a lot of fun. The image generation is really cool, but like this kind of stuff is really where it's going to be most useful in the professional world. So I go ahead and hit the Magic Expand here. And again, you can do this with any photo. There's a few different ways you can do this. You can tell it to just fill the whole page. I don't really like doing that because it centers everything. It centers the coffee cup, and I want it to fall off the edge here. So I'm going to kind of override it. But you can use different aspect ratios here if you have something really specific, like 9:16 would be most phones. And then 16:9 would be most screens like TVs and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and use freeform. And to use this freeform, you literally just grab these handles like you're gonna scale the image, right? So I'm just gonna grab it, I'm gonna pull it so it fills my document. And then I have a little bit down here too, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Boom, and then I'm gonna say Magic Expand. And now it's gonna do kind of the same thing. It's gonna give us four options again. But to be honest, with something like this, when it's texture, again, kind of like with the last image generation that I did, since we're so specific here, it does a pretty dang good job. This one, see, it's giving us ones with broccoli for some reason, which not what I'm looking for, but I mean, I guess if you really want that. But then there is this one that has a different coffee cup. This one also has a different coffee cup. I'm not super happy with any of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and regenerate and see if I can get one that's just coffee beans. That being said, you can get a little bit creative with how you position these things on the screen. If I get another one with a coffee cup and it's not giving me just beans as I want, it's not the end of the world. I can fix it pretty easily. Oh, here we go. This is nice. So this one actually has like a wood background, which I don't really need. We're going to take care of that in just a second. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and use this one just in case. I'm a little bit worried. The next step I have here is going to be removing the background, and I'm a little bit worried with this texture that it's going to just remove everything or leave that and only take the napkin portion out. So I'm going to pick, I'm going to go with this one because worst case scenario, I can get creative with how I crop this out. And now I'm going to go ahead and go to edit photo. We're back into the main settings. So this is not, this is outside of the app that we were in. But we have this really cool tool here. Again, this is one that's been around for a little while, but it's especially cool here, called background remover. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that. This one's a little bit quicker than the other ones, but this is, I think, again, where these tools are really, really impressive. just like that. It removed all that background, gave me just the coffee beans and this weird like tortilla bowl thing, which isn't quite what I want, but we're going to address that in just a second. So I'm going to kind of get this centered where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and use this magic eraser tool. And actually, I didn't even plan this, so I'm kind of glad this happened because I can show you another tool. With magic eraser, it just pops you into the second screen here, and you can choose the size of your brush, and you can see you just have a little cursor, and you paint out what you want to get rid of. And I don't want this bowl because one, it's right below my text, which is going to be obnoxious, and two, I don't really know what it is because it's AI and it kind of guesses sometimes. So once you lift your mouse, so you click and hold, once you depress your mouse button, it'll remove it just like that. It's that simple. And now that I'm done, I'm going to say boom and go right back to where we were. Now I'm going to go ahead and send this to the back. So that way it's behind all of my text and everything. And it also it went all the way to the back. So now sometimes you need to get a little bit creative here with how you so I have this layer locked. This is actually a good little accidental tutorial here too. So you can lock layers. So earlier today when I was making this, I was getting really annoyed because I was trying to highlight this text and it kept also highlighting these stripes in the background. So I went ahead and locked those so that way it won't select them when I click and drag. Downside is you have to remember to unlock them if you're going to move it. So like right now I'm going to unlock these and then I can. Why is it not unlocking? It's doing this just because it wants to make me look dumb. All right, well, we're gonna take a different shortcut here since that's for some reason not unlocking, and I'm gonna go ahead and just bring this forward. Wait, now everything's locked. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the coffee cup. What is going on here? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this forward one layer. See, sometimes even when you do this for a living, it still tries to trick you and make you look dumb. So I'm gonna go ahead, now that I have this sent to back, the text and stuff is all on top of it. I'm gonna go ahead and scale this a little more so I get it exactly how I want it. I like it right in there. Maybe even out a little more. I'm trying to, one thing to keep in mind when we're just talking about design in general is that I don't want any part of the page to feel too heavy. And right now with the coffee cup down here and this dark circle, it kind of pulls your eye down here since there's not much up here. So I'm going to do my best to kind of rearrange this in a way that it fits a little bit better. And then there's a couple areas like here behind this text where it's a little too, the coffee beans are a little too distracting. So I'm actually going to go back into the magic eraser here. I'm gonna go ahead and erase right in here where those letters are. And there's no perfect way to do it. You don't have to be exact. It knows what you're trying to highlight. It does a pretty good job of guessing. Let it do its thing.
And there's like no way to see what you're erasing with the text.
Unfortunately, with this tool specifically in Canva, there's not. If you do this in Photoshop, you can. This is just kind of a limitation of the tool, unfortunately. And this is something that I'm sure will get fixed. Keep in mind, most of these tools are still kind of in beta, meaning that they're still trying to dial everything in and make sure it's perfect. So there's a little bit of trial and error sometimes, and you will see changes kind of be made.
Yeah. Okay.
Or sticking right here that I don't like. So I'm going back in because there's a couple spots where I didn't highlight that it left like little tiny slivers of bean. But I had a rough idea of where I wanted it, so it did a good job there. And I could remove the coffee beans from everywhere where there's text, but there's a couple other ways to make it a little more visible, like adding drop shadows and stuff. And I don't want to remove all the beans. I just want it to be as legible as possible. So that being said, that's what we have for the image generation portion. I encourage you guys to ask questions if you have any. I learned from the last session that I did that I tried to jam way too much into the presentation, and I ended up just kind of screaming through it and being rushed at the end, and no one really had any time for questions. So please feel free to speak up in the chat if you have any. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next tool. So we have this nice little text section here, right? And really, this is here just to kind of give a little bit of information about the event. Now, if we're being completely honest, this is only a couple sentences. We can probably all write this ourselves. But for the sake of showing you how this magic write tool works, where it's going to generate text kind of like ChatGPT in our document, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to make sure we have our text box selected. You can go to Magic Write here. This is one that's so well integrated. It's literally just a part of when you highlight just about anything. And this actually is true for any text box. You see, I click up here on the date, it brings up Magic Write, as well as down here, there's this little Canva assistant section, and there's also Magic Write in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this text. I'm going to go to Magic Write, and I'm actually going to say rewrite. Now, keep in mind, this is a little bit, actually, we're going to completely erase this and then use Magic Write, because it's trying to just rewrite this lorem ipsum. So I'm going to continue writing. So I probably should have put some text in there first. So actually what I'm going to do here is the tool's a little bit odd. So you can go in here and you can do the Magic Write from here, but I want to kind of show you guys how to do it, how like continue writing. So if I go in here and say edit with Magic Write, it actually brings up a prompt section here and it just kind of default puts in the content that I have here. But I'm actually going to change this a little bit because I want to show you both. I'm going to say one sentence about a coffee shop grand opening. And then I'm gonna say generate. That's quite literally all you have to do. And now it's giving me a little bit of a storybook thing here. Excitement filled the air as the coffee shop's grand opening drew a crowd eager to savor their first cup of freshly brewed delight. So I'm gonna change this up a little bit. I'm gonna say more formal for one. So now it's gonna use some bigger words. Still not quite what I want, right? This is good. I'm glad it's doing this because when I was testing this earlier, it was just flawless, and I was like, man, this presentation is going to be like 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and go into Magic Write again. I'm going to edit with Magic Write, and I'm going to change up my prompt, and I'm going to say one sentence for a flyer inviting guests to a coffee shop grand opening. And obviously this isn't the normal section where you would do this. I just really want to show you guys this tool. So I'm kind of fudging what we're doing here for the sake of showing you. I pretty much typed a whole sentence there, so I might as well just print it myself. But if you're generating like paragraphs of text, or you're doing a presentation, or you have like bullet points that you need expanded into a paragraph, this is really what the tool is for. I'm gonna go ahead and generate. There we go. Join us at the grand opening of our coffee shop for a delightful experience filled with freshly brewed coffee and warm ambiance. That's actually not bad. That's a lot more of what I was looking for. It's really just flavor text. This isn't stuff that people are gonna. Most people are not going to read this text because this is a flyer. But we want to make sure that we have a little bit of a description there, especially in a digital world where a lot of people are using screen readers and stuff like that. It helps them understand exactly what they're seeing or what's on their screen. So you can use this for a lot of things. For those of you that don't know, you can actually create entire documents in Canva. And when I say documents, I mean like Word documents. So if I go here and create a doc, this quite literally works just like Word, right? Now I am going to add magic here. I'm gonna say Magic Write, and I'm gonna say write me 5 paragraphs about Canva's artificial or AI tools. And I'm just gonna say generate, and this is really cool. Now again, this is using ChatGPT. So it's pretty complex. Now I do think it's using GPT 3.5, which is the older version, but it does. Yeah. Yeah, you should, Nikki. You should be. I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat too while I'm going. You should definitely be writing your docs in Canva. It's rad. You can use this just about anywhere. If you pay for a Canva premium, that a good point there. If you pay for Canva Premium already, uh, you don't really need to pay for Chat GPT. I mean, you get a little more fine-tuning control out of it, especially if you use it a lot and you understand how to prompt and how to edit prompts. But for just like basic generation, you can't really beat this, and it's about the same price to pay for Canva as it is to pay just for Chat GPT. So you kind of have it all built in here. And I mean, as you can see, this is pretty good text. There's still a little bit of a tendency this early in artificial intelligence that it feels a little robotic. You know, it does a lot of like jamming adjectives into sentences and stuff. But as a whole, it does a great job. And as long as you're proofreading this stuff, it's fantastic. I mean, even when it comes to like writing blogs for your website, AI is an awesome way to do it. Just make sure that when you're asking AI to generate stuff, you're only having it generate stuff that you actually are somewhat knowledgeable in, so that way you can proofread it, because it does still AI uses information it's fed, and there's a lot of wrong information on the internet, as we all know. And it will pull from that. It doesn't really know how to parse good from bad information except based on like how often things are said. So just keep that in mind. Like, for an example, you know, if we use it to write a blog for a client, which, just so you guys know, we don't ever do that without client permission. Like, I'm not going to ask it to write a blog about like something super in depth in the medical field, because frankly, I don't know about that, and I don't want to be publishing incorrect information. So just keep that in mind with everything that you do. You need to proofread everything you do through AI, but it is extremely powerful, and there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, including writing entire documents, emails, creating outlines for presentations. It's pretty cool stuff. So again, that's a little bit of a tangent, but I just kind of want to show you a little more about Magic Write outside of the document that we're making right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of this and go back to the flyer that we're working on. So we've used that now. This is a good spot. There's a few other things that I'm going to cover here, but one thing that I'm going to stop and do right now is make sure that the stuff is legible. So we do have like this text down here, and like I said, I don't want to get rid of I don't want to get rid of the coffee beans here. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight it. I'll highlight text and the line. Oh man, the zoom thing is on top of my it's on top of my, there we go. And I'm gonna add a little bit of a shadow here, and that'll help. There's also glows. These are all good ways to make things more visible when you're trying to layer text. I typically try to avoid outlines just because it can get really hard to read and look a little hokey. So I'm a big fan of using the lift and the shadow here. I'm gonna go ahead and add a shadow, and you can see it actually does show you here. I'm gonna go ahead and make it nice and contrasting for my text colors. I'm gonna do black, and actually you can see here in document colors and color palette, which is based on our brand. And actually, instead of using black, I'm gonna go ahead and use the brown from our brand. And now you can just kind of fine tune stuff here. I want the offset to be a little more, make the transparency a little less. This is actually backwards from nomenclature wise. This should say opacity, not transparency, because I'm sliding this to make it more transparent, but really it should be less transparent, right? Because I'm making it thicker. Can add a blur, so it's going to remove some of that hard edge. And you can see, even though I'm not doing a lot here, it is making that text a little more legible. And sometimes that's all it needs, is just that slight bump in in contrast. Now it's a lot easier to read. So the next tool I'm going to jump into is called Magic Morph. And now this is one that I will admit is super finicky, but it's one of my favorites. And I wanted to show you guys because right now in the design world, things like custom text, like creating three-dimensional text that's like realistic looking, is really difficult and really expensive. That's actually the type of design that I specialize in, is hand lettering. If you see the Blackbird logo, that was me with a brush marker over dozens and dozens of hours trying to create that. So it's really difficult, and it takes somebody that's specialized in it. So this other tool that I have here that I want to show you guys, Magic Morph, you can actually take just about anything and create three-dimensional. I mean, anything. You can use illustrations. Like you can take some of the SVGs that Canva has built in under the Elements tab and use this to create dimension there. There's a lot of stuff. Really, the only limit is your imagination. And you guys will see that I'm clicking on this left chunk here, apps, quite a bit. That's because a lot of the stuff is third party. This one's not, but it is still an app. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in, because I know what it's called. It's called Magic Morph. Pops up here as relevant. I'm gonna go ahead and click on Magic Morph. And so this works a lot like the image prompting. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight what I want. And really what I want to do is draw some more attention to this headline here. I really like it. I love the text that I picked that's part of the brand is nice, and it's got some distressing to it. I think it just kind of adds to the kind of homey coffee shop vibe, right? It's a little rough around the edges, but I want to kind of kick that up a notch. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this box. You'll see it shows the select element in your design. It shows it selected. And now I'm gonna tell it to do is I'm gonna add texture to it. So I'm gonna have it do a coarse grain cotton paper texture off-white color. And this is pretty cool. You can see there's a bunch of stuff down here when I was talking about creating like three-dimensional text. There's even some stuff that it kind of does by default. But I'm gonna describe my own, hit Magic Morph. And then kind of like everything else we've done, it's gonna generate 4 options for us. It's just kind of the golden rule of AI. It's always gonna generate 4 for the most part when you're dealing with image generation. It's feeding it in. Now, the reason it takes so long is because we're actually sending the image that we're creating out to their servers. So they're having to download, we're uploading it, they're downloading it, they're running the AI, and then they're uploading it and sending it back to us to download. So that's why it takes a little while here. That stuff will get faster as time goes on. But you'll see it gave us 4 options here. I'm gonna go ahead and click on one of them. They're a little tough to see when they're small like that. So sometimes you just kind of have to click on them. This one looks like it's got some kind of gold foil texture. I'm not a huge fan of that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete it and try one of these other ones. There we go. That's more what I was looking for. It's got this kind of papery texture here. That's pretty much exactly what I was trying to get, like watercolor paper. So one thing to keep in mind is that this does make it no longer live text. So you can do this to any text that you want, but now I can't edit this text. So just keep that in mind. That's why this is one of the last things I'm showing you guys as we're putting this flyer together, because I want to make sure that everything's kind of finalized and arranged the way I want it to, make sure all the spacing and stuff is correct, because I can't really fix that once I do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and scale it pretty close to the other one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and delete the old text and paste in the new one. And just like that, we have some cool kind of 3-dimensional text that was right here in Canva. This is something that, even just 6 months ago would have taken me as a professional probably 3 or 4 hours in Photoshop to create something like this. So that's why this stuff is so cool. Canva's already doing amazing stuff to give you guys as business owners the power to do this kind of stuff. But this is one of those huge steps that, I mean, frankly, this is something that was kind of off limits to most small business owners unless they knew a designer, because that would cost a few $100s just to do that text. And now it's free right here in Canva. So I have my text.
Hey, Justin, really quick, Joni's asking, can you show that prompt again?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't want to say that this is a end all be all. I use a lot of AI, so I've gotten pretty good at prompting. I recommend that you guys kind of play around with some of the other tools and you'll understand kind of how it likes to be fed information. So I put coarse grain cotton paper texture, and that's really important that you put texture. Otherwise, it's gonna get really weird with the results that you get. And then I also gave it a color and said off-white color. Now, I will admit I cheated a little bit, because before this I had already generated this stuff, as you saw earlier with the images. And I know that when I was telling it just to do coarse grain cotton paper texture, it was giving me some really gross colors that were not what I was looking for. So I kind of narrowed down my prompt already. Don't be afraid to mess with this. You have pretty much unlimited use of it. I think even with the image generation, you get like 350 image generations per month with Canva just as part of your paid membership. I think you'd be hard pressed to run out of image generation credits. So don't be afraid to keep trying things over again. Like if I wanted this to be green, I can put that green in color, and we can say magic morph again. I'm going to use a different piece of text just so it doesn't change everything. Just for the sake of example here. And the more you play with the stuff, the more you'll understand how it likes to be formatted. And really what I can say is that you want to start kind of broad and narrow down. So one thing that I tend to do is give it like essentially what I'm thinking, right? What I'm looking for in that first chunk. And then I kind of start adding details. Like say, if I wanted to generate a photo of a dog playing in a field, I would say photograph or high quality photograph of golden retriever playing in a field, right? And then I would say comma 4K, comma cornfield, comma. You can add as many details as you want, and it knows what you're doing. And the more you play with it, the better you'll get at it. So you can see here when I gave it green in color, it already spit out some other options. And this is more similar to what it was doing earlier when I knew I wanted off-white just to fit the rest of the design. But I mean, you can do pretty much whatever you want here. And don't be afraid to play around with it. There's a lot of cool options. You can see it does pretty good job. I don't know if I'd call this cotton paper texture, but it is kind of a cool, interesting texture. And you can always go back and try again to get whatever you want. Does that kind of answer your question, Joni? Hopefully. So once we kind of finalize this design here, which I'm gonna go ahead and kind of reposition a couple things just so it's as close to ready as possible. Now you have this awesome flyer, right? And now when we're promoting stuff, we're going to be promoting things a lot more than just on a printed sheet of paper, right? And 6 months ago, cool, I'm glad it worked. 6 months ago, you had to go and basically redesign the whole thing for every different size of asset that you need, right? Because on Facebook, I don't want this big portrait 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper to post on Facebook. I want to use something square because that's what Instagram likes. That's what Facebook likes. That just kind of fits what you're doing there the best. You may end up wanting to make like a horizontal ad for a television slideshow or something like that. And you don't want to have to redesign everything. So what I'm going to show you now is called the magic switch. And it's up here, this button. This is another place where Canva hides a lot of the AI tools, right? So I have this, I'm pretty well ready to go. I mean, I could sit here and play with this all day and really nail stuff down to get it perfect. But just for the sake of the presentation, I'm gonna say this is good. I'm ready to print it. I'm ready to start promoting my event. So I'm gonna go up here to the magic switch to resize. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm under resize, and you have all of these different options that are already preset. So I mean, if you need a presentation or something like that, it's all here. But I'm actually gonna go to social media. And then I'm going to go to Instagram post square. And as you can see, Canva already has just about everything you need. I mean, TikTok videos, they're sized here, ready to go. Facebook videos, cover photos for your profile. If you're a business and you're trying to promote an event, it's a good way you can change your cover photo to kind of promote whatever event is coming up. There's a lot of stuff you can do here, but for this, I'm going to go ahead and say Instagram post square, 1080 by 1080. Continue. And now it's doing this math to kind of decide how to organize things. And I'm going to go ahead and say resize this. These two options here, you have copy and resize. It's going to create a new document, which frankly is probably what you want to do unless you just realize, like say you designed a whole thing and just realized like, oh, dang it, I did it at the wrong size. You can just hit resize this design right here, the gray button, and it'll just take what we just did, the same exact file, and resize the canvas and try to move things around to work well. But I'm gonna go ahead and copy and resize because I don't want to lose my print flyer. So copy and resize. I'm gonna create a new, see, created the document here, and I'm gonna say open Instagram post. It's gonna open me a new tab here in Canva. And it didn't do as well as it usually does, but it kind of gives you a head start here, and it moves all of the text and everything into a position where it's still legible. And it really is minimal for me to kind of tweak this to be ready for Instagram. And just like that, bam, I have an Instagram post. It's that simple. Now, keeping in mind this is Instagram, a lot of this text I'm probably not going to need on Instagram because one, the image is smaller. You're going to have the caption on the post that you'll probably say this kind of stuff. So I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to leave this because this is big, and I'm actually going to make this larger so that people know that we have a free drink during this event. We'll go ahead and move my time and everything up here. Bam. You can kind of rescale stuff however you want to make it perfect for your application. I want this text to be nice and big. Probably gonna go ahead and remove the coffee house thing here. Because again, I don't really need that. It's on our profile. It shows, who's posting it. So I don't need to put the coffee house there. I'm gonna go ahead and scale this a little bigger so it's easier to read when you're looking at it on your phone. Bam. And just like that, we used AI to scale a document. And this would have taken, probably a good half an hour, 45 minutes, even for me to kind of redo everything. I have to make all these assets all over. I have to copy them all over. In Canva, like I can't just save this coffee image back here. I'd have to export it. And it's a whole process. So this is a really cool tool that you can use. Highly suggest you guys go ahead and do that because it allows you to get that much more reach, right? In marketing, we're always trying to get as many eyes on what we're doing as possible. And with this tool, I can now in minutes post it on 10 different platforms. I can make my Facebook profile. I can make a slideshow for, like, I pay for a TV slideshow at Life Coffee House here in Coeur d'Alene. I could do pretty much whatever I want with it. And that is everything that I wanted to go over today. Those are kind of the main 5 tools. It looks like we do have about 15 minutes for questions. If anybody has any, if there aren't any questions, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question, but yeah, if you guys have questions, just put it in the chat box. So this could definitely go down a rabbit hole, so you can be as quick to answer. But I had seen like a tip when it comes to like Chat GPT. Sorry, my dog is making noise. Where like, hey, chat or AI, pretend you are, a social media expert with decades of experience. Like, have you noticed any difference in saying that in the prompt?
Absolutely. And Canva doesn't quite take the prompts as well as ChatGPT does. If we want to go down this rabbit hole, I can pretty easily jump into ChatGPT and show you guys some prompting there. Because I do think ChatGPT is one of the tools that I think pretty much everyone should learn how to use at this point. I don't think Midjourney and stuff like that are necessary for everyone because there will be tools that are simplified, like right here in Canva, to do it. But ChatGPT is something that you can use even just to help you write emails. I've had, you're trying to write a serious email and you're just not feeling it and you're not sure that you like the voice that you're using. It's going to come across angry or something. You can copy that, paste it in Chat GPT and say, this is an email to another agency, make it sound nicer. And it'll do that for you. It's pretty cool. And there's a lot that we can do on a daily basis in our daily lives. Yeah. Does anyone else have any more questions? If not, I can dive down that rabbit hole. Does anyone want to see ChatGPT? There's a lot of cool stuff we could do there. Yeah, we got 15 minutes. I can start showing off some ChatGPT. So I'm gonna go away. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go away for just a second here while I get everything prepped so you guys don't have to look at all my other tabs and stuff. I'm gonna open ChatGPT. Cool. Log in. All right.
While he's working on that, has anyone used ChatGPT yet?
Yes, you can, Joni. Here, I'll show that real quick before we jump into ChatGPT. So if you're doing individual elements, like say I want to change this color here, I can go to the text color and I can add a new color. Oh, in the chat, in the prompts. That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't tried that. We can try it right now and see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and say, I'm gonna turn this text there just so I can grab the color. And then I'm gonna go to create an image, apps, magic media. Jasper's pretty cool. So Jasper actually just is it's an app that they took ChatGPT, basically it integrated it in and it makes it a lot simpler. It does kind of like Canva, it does dumb it down a little bit, so it's a little easier to navigate and a little quicker to use. But it's pretty cool. It's one of the first like I think commercial uses like direct to consumer that I've seen of AI. It's been around for quite a while. So I'm gonna try to go ahead and generate something here. Let's do a watercolor, and let's say a cup of coffee with a colored background of this hex code. Yeah, I have no idea if this is gonna work. I haven't tried using this before. Let's see what happens. There is a free option of ChatGPT. It's not so to kind of lock you out of it and try to convince you to pay for it. You get the old version of it. Now the old version is still pretty powerful, but it's not quite as conversational. It's not quite as useful. Looks like Canva's having a hard time. Yeah, I don't think the hex codes are going to work in here. That being said, what you can do if you need something a specific color is you can highlight your photo, and when you go to edit, you can do this duotone function here. This is kind of posterizing it, but you can pick something a little bit closer to what you want. Like if I really wanted it to be kind of in the background like that, I
Hey,
could.
Justin,
Yep.
sorry, maybe it's just my screen, but I'm
Oh,
only
I'm
seeing
not
chat.
even on the same.
I was like, this is very
I
interesting.
switched to ChatGPT. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay.
There we go. So I went ahead and generated another coffee cup here using the hex code of the green and that's in the background, and it didn't do a super great job, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that the way I did it's not working. I would say that's probably something that would confuse it. Maybe Midjourney or Dolly would do a better job with it because they actually have like functions built in that are designed for like giving it specific aspect ratios and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's worth trying there, but it looks like in Canva, this version of it, no, it doesn't do hex codes. But what I was showing is that we have this app here called Duotone that you can do quite a bit with. So like you can kind of select what you want. I'm gonna go custom here, and I can change this to be however I want it to be. So I can change the colors, lighten this a little bit, and like that. I mean, it's not a super realistic effect, but you can kind of recolor stuff using the duotone. And I would definitely keep an eye on Canva because I imagine that's the kind of tool that they probably will add in because that's definitely a good use case for it. So back to ChatGPT here. Okay, so this is ChatGPT. Now, anyone can go here. It's chat.openai.com. You can use it for free, like I mentioned earlier. You still have to make an account, but it's free. You can do whatever you want, and it does keep everything that you've done here. As you can see, this is me and my team. This is how often we use it. These are all not even prompts. These are conversations that we've done over time. I mean, just hundreds. We use it many times a day. And then there are other apps in here. So if you go to explore GPTs, this is where you can find stuff like image generation stuff within ChatGPT. There's even some cool things. There's a logo creator, which I have messed around with a little bit. Again, not quite there yet. It doesn't really replace a designer, but it does a pretty good job. Even for me as a designer, I use it to kind of generate some ideas sometimes. Like if I'm having a hard time trying to conceptualize something, I can jump into logo creator and see what it comes up with. And here's Dolly. So this used to be its own app. It still is, and it's a little more functional in its own app, but you can click here and give it a prompt like normal, but I'm going to stick to ChatGPT for now because I can talk about that forever. So say I wanted to, I want to write a blog, right? This is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to say, and this is completely conversational, and this is ChatGPT 4.0, so this is the newest one, but I'm going to tell it like it's a person or like it's an employee. I'm going to tell it, write me a 10 paragraph blog post about how small business owners can use Chat GPT to make their lives easier. And then I'm going to tell it something like use a conversational and humorous, but professional tone. And now ChatGPT is literally going to write this blog post for me. And you can watch it write it. It is really amazing. Um, yeah, it's pretty sweet, huh? Um, and you can fine tune this. So when I say ChatGPT is conversational, I mean that I can now, once it's done writing this, tell it to do just about anything. So it's actually numbering. You see how I told it to do 10 paragraphs? It's actually numbering the paragraphs and giving me headers. And that's not what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for an actual like linear blog post that reads like a novel kind of. So once it's done here, I'm going to say, sometimes I'm kind of nice to it. I say, that's great. But I
I
don't,
totally do that too, Justin. I'm like, I have to be
yeah,
nice
I don't
to
know
it.
why I'm so nice to Chat GPT. I don't want to offend it.
I know,
It's
right?
probably going to be our AI overlord at some point, so I want to be on
Uh-huh.
the side. So I'm going to tell it that's awesome, but I don't want a list of topics. I want a I'm going to say novelized um, blog with complete paragraphs. And now it's nice to me. That's why I'm nice to it, certainly. So now it's going to take all of this and create a more linear blog. See, it's putting it all into paragraphs that you can read as if it was a book. It's really, really cool stuff. And you can do like quite, if you can dream it, it can do it for the most part. It does have some uh, a handful of limitations that are actually programmed into it, which is kind of what makes it scary. Like it can't use super current events. Like it's not gonna tell you about the upcoming election or something like that for ethical reasons that it doesn't. We don't want people just being able to go and generate whatever we want about stuff like that to post anywhere. Um, but for the most part, it can do just about anything. And this is great. Now I know in marketing that as much as I used to hate them, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does a really good. It's actually kind of funny. Like you can tell it to write jokes. I've actually told it to write songs before. I mean, it'll do poetry, right? Now watch this. All right, that's a good point. So I'm gonna say, take this blog post and turn it into a 3 stanza poem. I mean, this is how awesome ChatGPT is. I mean, you can watch it sit here and write this poem. It is super cool. Um, yeah, it's pretty rad. And now I'm going to tell it to add some emojis because in marketing, as much as I used to hate them, I know emojis really help conversion. People tend to like them. And now it's adding cool emojis to each line. How cool is that? Pretty awesome tool. This is $10 a month. I mean, it's hard to not justify Chat GPT these days. It can help with so much. I mean, I look at it in the sense that, we charge at minimum $100 an hour for our services. So if this can save me literally 6 minutes, it's paid for itself. And this saves me hours and hours and hours per month. It is insane what it can do. Now, again, don't just generate a bunch of content and throw it out there because one, it does have a tendency to plagiarize. That's something that that OpenAI is still working on that we hear a lot about in the news, especially with imagery. So just keep that in mind. Again, make sure that what you're having it write about is stuff that you are knowledgeable about, so you can fact check it and you can edit it, and also that you read through it before you post it anywhere, because it can definitely do some weird stuff. Like, I even have a template in here, which I'm not going to show you because there's some kind of private information, but I have a template in here that I have built in ChatGPT that I can just fill in the blanks with statistics from marketing campaigns. Like, say I'm running a Google Ads campaign, I can fill in all the statistics and it will write me a nice 2-page case study that I can then share with clients. I can post on our website. It's pretty great for stuff like that, and that's something that, I'm not really putting anybody out of a job by doing that. I'm just saving myself some time. And because case studies are hard to write, I don't. It's not very fun writing 3 pages about numbers and graphs and stuff. It kind of sucks. So that's a great use for ChatGPT. My developer actually built one a while back that we send a form to our clients for onboarding where it asks them all about their brand. It asks them about their services, their average client value. I mean, it's just a general marketing onboarding form that we've used forever. And it's something that we keep on file here for especially contracted clients, so that we don't have to go ask those questions all the time. And Brian actually built a tool that takes that form and all the information in it and feeds it into a document that then creates a sitemap for a website. So then Brian can take the bones of this website and rearrange stuff and fix it up how he wants it to be, to use in a tool like Octopus. This is what we use for site mapping. And it does everything we need it to do. So like, I can go to our website here. This is the sitemap for our website. I'm not going to show you client ones. But this whole outline was the bones of it were created by ChatGPT. And you can see we have all of our pages in here. A lot of the content was too. So if I go up here to content, which I don't really need to teach you guys how to use this tool because you don't really need it. It's like a lot of this content was written with ChatGPT, or at least initially, and then I send it to our SEO guy who goes through and optimizes it for searchability, and then I send it over to our copywriter, who then makes sure that all the content is accurate and that it sounds good. That's the biggest thing there. And then it's ready to go on the website. That's quite literally all it takes. And this is just one page on our website, and I have like 30 something pages of all content that, I mean, this is stuff that I would have probably had to have our copywriter spend a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks writing all this content. And instead they were able to do it in about 2 days because they just had to go through all of this and kind of tweak it to make it sound nice and be searchable and everything. It's pretty impressive. ChatGPT can do a lot of stuff for us.
Sweet. Thank you, Justin. So we just have like a minute left. So Justin, if anyone has any questions for you, how should they contact you?
You guys can shoot me an email at justin@thisisblackbird.com, or you can just kind of Google Blackbird Digital CDA. Our website will come up. Their email, our office phone number, everything is there. Feel free to text us. Our office phone is a cell phone, so we do that on purpose so that way you guys are able to text us. But yeah, I'm always open. If you guys have any questions about any of this, you want to learn more about it, definitely reach out to us. You're welcome to come here and hang out at our office, and I'll teach you about some of this stuff. That's ultimately what I like to do. That's why I started a business in the first place, was to be able to teach people stuff like this. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out.
And I will tell you, Justin, and then I've also met and worked with Olivia. They are both amazing people, great to work with. We've used them for craft tree care, to putting an ad together and a dashboard for the ice rink, and they're just really great to work with. So if you do have any, I guess you can say what services you offer, but I know graphic design is one of them. So
Yeah.
that you offer, you can reach out to him.
We're a full service ad agency. So if you can think of it as part of marketing, we can definitely do it, whether it's Google ads, social media, web development. We do copywriting, we do videography, we do photography. Right now I'm working on, again, using AI to build out bulk emailing and texting campaigns that are super ultra customized to the recipient. It's pretty cool stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we do. We try to be as cutting edge as possible.
Awesome. So once I get this recording, I will send it to all the paid members. And actually, Joni, and I need to connect with you. So Joni is going to be doing a webinar sometime in March, is what we talked about. So stay tuned for that. And then the Mamas in Business Conference is coming up. I'm very excited, and I've had a lot of helps given my situation. I've had to taken a step back from planning, but it's still coming together very well. So please, make sure you get your tickets if you don't have them already. We have, I think, about 87 total people attending right now. So I
Awesome.
suspect we'll get up to 100 plus. So, all right. Well, thank you again. Thank you, Justin, so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your evening. And again, let me know if you guys need anything. I'll be back for more presentations over the course of this year.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.